Let me present. Okay, guys. So big hello to everybody. I don't think I've met probably most of the people on this call here today, but a brief introduction to myself. So my name is Kenny Zito, and I'm the director for the Global Technical Solutions Engineering for Legacy Amobi, but now we are also rolling out, which I'm very excited on, rolling out the TSE organization on the Amobi TV side as well. So I hope that we will be able to deliver great value in terms of our partnership with the engineering developers. Joining me is Harshini Krishnan, who is a senior manager for technical solutions engineering. She reports to me, and I report to Michael here, and she is the manager for the Australia as well as part of the US TSE teams. So she is heavily involved in the core TSE operations as us.
Hello, everyone.
Pretty cool. So I just wanted to go over the core purpose of what I wanted to bring us together is to give you a preview of what I foresee as sort of the combined Amobi technical support workflow for the expanded company. We've had like this discussions in a smaller group with Miles as well as Bryn and Michael in terms of knowing what did Videology does in terms of their technical support operations, as well as them understanding what we do and combining them together so that we follow one standard ubiquitous process for that. So we do have a process in place that we've ironed out pretty well, I would say, that we want to showcase to you guys here. We think it's going to be a very effective plan. So I just want to go over the sort of high level overview of that. So my next slide here is just to give you a background of how technical support works at Legacy Amobi. Is a three-tiered global support structure for all of our portfolio of products. So we thought that this model would make most sense to have for the combined company. So basically leveraging the Legacy Amobi way, which has been working well. So in that model, there is three tiers, as we mentioned here. I'll start from the left here. So that's tier one. So that's the entry point. That's the frontline support. And this is an offshore team consisting of 75 members presently. There could be more as we grow as the expanded company. And they are the ones for all of the issues funneled through there first. And they go to all the specific tickets, they go through support@amobi.com via an email alias. And from that, they create a Salesforce ticket in the Salesforce system, and that is sort of like the CRM for tracking the ticket progress from tier one. Okay. I'm just going to jump through this in a pretty sort of high level because the core focus I want is from TSE, which is tier three, and what our partnership is with the engineering developers. But going back to here is if an issue needs escalation to tier two, we have an on-premise staff of AdOps, which is considered as backline support. Okay, and how you can reach out to them is support@amobi.com. And they also work off of the same Salesforce ticket that was created from the tier one. So now when there is an issue, usually it is engineering focused or engineering core when it requires escalation to our level here as technical solutions engineering. So just a bit of background about the team in itself here. So the team is essentially a group, actually I have a follow-up slide here. The team here is consisting of 10 staff members so far, and we're actually hiring 2 more people that are to be placed in Baltimore because we want to expand the TSE team to Amobi TV. So currently we have 6 of them based in Redwood City, 1 of them based in Champaign, Illinois, 1 in London, and 2 in the APAC region. They're both based in Sydney, Australia. And just a bit of background about the core engineering team. So we're all developers at heart. How we recruit and our responsibilities are very, very technically involved. So there is a pretty deep assessment to make sure that they do have the software as well as the technology competency to be able to do the job. Additionally, we do assess since it's a hybrid of support and development, which I'll get to. We want to make sure that they also have that that sort of business acumen mentality and that willingness to support issues when they do encounter when they do happen. So actually 2 of the people in our team so far actually do have MBAs as well as having a background, a graduate degree in computer science. So you can sort of say we're sort of developers at heart, but also have, engineering support driven as well as has business acumen together. It's like this sort of mixed model that we have in our talent pool. So going through the responsibilities, so I would say that there's quite a number of responsibilities because of the fact that, we do get, when issues do get to us, when it's engineering centric, it could still be of any piece of the platform. And we definitely do have a very, very distributed platform here. There's many different aspects to that. And we are basically the first line defense of that. So with that talent that we have of having sort of that breadth first engineering background, one key aspect is doing the tier 3 technical troubleshooting. There's also the other aspects from our talent of being software developers is we also devise and execute production tasks that require privileged access. We have direct access to the code base, we have direct access to the databases, we have direct access to even production aspects too that even the core developers don't have. So, we do have a lot of exposure to things, and with great power comes great responsibility. So we have a lot of internal processes in place for TSCs to make sure that, we do not roll stuff into production that has been very, very carefully thought through effectively. And then coming to the last part here about what the software development things that we do. So quite a number of areas here. I would say production features and services. For example, GDPR initiative, as well as the ASDAP text crawler. That is something that was developed by us. We were the key implementers of those. Operational efficiency tools for cross-functional teams. We create those. This actually comes hand in hand, pretty useful when we've talked about tech debt in terms of doing because we assess very, very carefully the manual tasks in which we as TSCs do with our privileged access. So if we see opportunities where we can create automation of it, because ultimately automation is way more better and more long-term effective than doing things in a redundant manual way, we will try to find the opportunities to create the tools for those. And then the last aspect of software development that we do is customer enablement applications. So when a customer comes on board, if there are specific things in which we need to roll out for specific clients, we create the tools for enabling those. So those are like the sort of top 3 responsibilities of TSC. So how would this be value to a MobiTV? Would probably be what you'd be asking here. So I have this diagram that I wanted to show you here. From getting the background research of how the tier structure of a MobiTV works, it was a 3-tiered model from what I've learned from Bryn, where it was sort of the regional frontline, and then we had Tech Ops, which is Bryn's organization, and then the people on this phone call, the engineering development teams themselves. That was the 3 tiers. Where it's new going to be for a MobiTV is where we'll fit in, and we sort of will be this sort of place in the circle here, where we will sort of be this wrapper around you guys as the engineering development teams, and we will be sort of the initial point of contact for engineering specific type of issues, and we'll try to, in many cases, as we become more familiar and understanding the back-end architecture of the platform and getting the knowledge sharings from you guys, we hope that to be able to, extend our troubleshooting and hopefully be able to even fix bugs ourselves with that, so you guys can focus on core development. Okay, so sort of fixing of bugs and supporting and troubleshooting will sort of be a shared responsibility for the organization. Any questions on that so far? I'll take a pause about who we are as TSCs and how we could, how the organization could be beneficial of our partnership. Okay, so let's move on. If you do, feel free to stop me here. So the next thing that I wanted to tell about is what I've been working on, which is how does this unified support workflow will work. So I wanted to go from the point of view in which, let's say a ticket did get escalated going on up through the troubleshooting to the TSC level, which means that it's often engineering focused. Okay, so in this diagram here, there's 3 phases of the support workflow: the assign phase, the investigate phase, and the resolve phase. Okay, I just wanted to use a normal priority ticket. Okay, as an example, it's more a simplified version. I do have the same sort of flowcharts for the higher priority ones, and you can imagine that those actually have more logic involved in that. But I'll get into that later. So for the normal priority, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Could you just clarify how tickets get into TSC? In other words, are they only created from tier 2
Mm,
or tier one? What's the
got
actual
it.
entry point?
Got it. So there are two core entry points into getting to TSC. Okay. The standard way is from the tier one or tier two, filing it to tier three. Because the entry point of all tickets in the organization should go through tier one. Number one is the first reason of that is because tier one are actually very, very intelligent people, the 75 people, and they deal with thousands of tickets a day. Not necessarily issues, but they also do a lot of tasks, like campaign management tasks. So they are very familiar with the platform and have lots of checklists for helping diagnose the issue, and they could resolve there. The second aspect is for logging purposes. We want to make sure that all issues that come in do follow the same, do have an actual logging of like which customers filed at which point and things like that. So the administrative piece is also managed by the tier one. Okay. So that's one entry point of how tickets get to tier three. It's through tier one or tier two. Those are for standard stuff. The other aspect is anybody in the organization, okay, can actually get to TSC directly, okay? Our project in TSC is exposed to the global organization. However, it is only P0s and P1s in which we will be attending to those, okay? So you can call this sort of a fast-tracked path only under the situations of where there is like a global platform issue where it requires skipping tier ones and tier twos. Okay.
Thanks.
So that answer, yeah, okay, great. Okay. So going back to the support workflow here, so when a ticket does come in, so typically P2 and P3 tickets, for example, would have come from tier one and or tier two. So we have our own sort of assignment procedure in which we allocate tickets. I won't get to the too much details about that one there, but we make sure we handle it in a high level, a first in, first out fashion. But we also have AdOps as our partnership in terms of managing any escalation requests. So there is an escalation process in place so that if a ticket in the queue the account manager needs it bump higher, then they would run it through AdOps, of which AdOps would notify us if they feel that it should rightfully deserve to be boosted higher than the other tickets in the queue. So that's kind of how the sort of first in, first out and escalation process works. I'll move down to the investigating phase where the ticket already has been assigned. So we will do our thorough investigation of that to the extent of the knowledge that we do have. And as TSEs, as well as being a global team in the TSE department and being, involved in so many different aspects of the platform, we have a big wiki document base in which we retain ourselves. So of knowing what to check and things like that. And it's a continuing adaptive model because things in the distributed environment always continues to change. So I would say that we're really well, close-knit group in terms of making sure that we do not bother the engineering developers unless it's absolutely needed. Okay. So in the cases where we do the investigation and we do need engineering consult, that's when we will loop you guys in. Okay. So, I should backtrack and say this is the investigation is done in a TSC JIRA ticket. Okay, so we'll do our investigation. If we need a consult, then we'll address the specific engineering developer in which we know that could help us or get us to the next steps in finding the issue. Okay. So we continue on doing the investigation there. And let's say that we did find out what the issue is. We found out the specific lines of code that would have caused this bug, for example. Okay. We then make an assessment in TSC to see if we can fix the issue ourselves. If we are competent and we know that this, with very, very high assurance that we are able to fix this, then we will fix that issue ourselves. And then we'll just resolve the TSC ticket and we'll just roll it out and it'll be sort of part of the next release or depending on the cycle of which the bug came in and where we fixed it. If it turns out that we can't fix it within our domain, then that's when we'll be creating what we call as a PDI JIRA ticket, okay? So PDI stands for Production Issue Ticket. And that's sort of the key thing that is new to the MobiTV, which I'll get into some more details about that, okay? So going back, if it's TSC, investigate the issue, determine that it's a bug, determine that we're not the right team or don't have the full extent of knowledge to be able to fix the ticket, fix the bug, then we'll create a PDI ticket. And that's when we will resolve our ticket as clone to engineering I say resolved from the sense that not that we're, off of this ticket at all. We're sort of saying that we created the PDI and now the ticket has been shifted to the engineering development's eyes. But we are still as standby as watching the progress of the PDI ticket. Okay, got it. So yes.
Hey, sorry, quick question. What is PDI?
Yeah, PDI is production issue JIRA ticket. Yeah, I'll get into that actually, let's get into that right now, actually. We'll do this right here. So PDI ticket is a production issue ticket. Let me backtrack a little bit. What I've learned from the Mobi TV side is that when let's say Bryn, for example, as tech ops determines that an issue is a bug and needs to file an engineering fix, then he would be filing a ticket to the right engineering component project. So for example, if it was like a Maya fix, I think he would be creating a Maya ticket directly and choose an issue type is like bug or something like that.
Yep.
Is that right, Bryn? How you do it?
Yep, create a linked issue.
Right. You go to directly the specific component JIRA project. Got it. Okay. So that's where it is different here at a Mobi Classic is that all the development teams do have their own separate projects. Like Runtime has JIRA project called Runtime. The apps team has a few JIRA projects such as JubJub, and I think there's other names of that. So everybody has their own different names. Okay. Where it's different here is that when TSC does find a bug and when bugs do come or when tickets do come to TSCs, it's pretty much from all like clients that come to us. It's sort of like a standard channel in which we just the bugs came from. So that's where we would create a PDI ticket. So think of PDI as sort of this independent JIRA project, but is used for logging only bugs. Okay, so that means in a Mobi Classic, all of the development teams will be eyeing the PDI ticket queue because all the bugs will be there. And let me just show a little more details about this. So I said what I put down here. This is the master JIRA project used for reporting bugs required for engineering fixing here. So this would be like a list of all the bugs and how we differentiate which engineering team should be focused on that PDI ticket is from this component label. So TSC will label the component to the right engineering team in which this bug should be mapped to. Yeah. Is it a little more clarity in terms of what PDI is?
Quick question. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, great. And I'll explain why we've chose this path in the legacy Mobi model here, because we did this back in around 2015. Okay, where we changed it, where we should have like a new sort of PDI ticket housing just for bugs and production issues. So the advantages of having that is that it's gated permissionings. So what do I mean by that, right? So by having a PDI project, since we are able to separate bugs in which, in most cases, customers have reported from the core development tickets, by having a PDI project, we're able to create this filter such that all of sort of like the account management teams or like the non-engineering teams will have exposure to only the PDI projects, which is pertaining to the bugs. They don't need, necessarily direct access to seeing all the feature development work, which would be housed in the Maya and the Lucy and I guess in our cases, the Runtime and the JubJub things. So that's the core reason of why we created this new PDI project is to have limited permissionings to the non-engineering teams. And then other advantages are it's centralized reporting. By having only one JIRA project, we can just run a filter off all the PDIs and create filters by components, and we are able to see the volume of bugs broken down by each component. And this actually goes hand in hand to the tech debt metric, where week by week we show weekly stats about which teams contribute to which volume of score to the overall tech debt metric. PDI will have a direct variation to that. So the more PDI tickets of certain components, the higher the score. So it kind of completes the story by having it that way. And then the last thing is what I find is very useful here is bug-centric visibility. So what I mean by that is at Amobi TV, Classic Amobi, by having everything all in PDI, we actually create a weekly report that gets sent out of all the PDI issues that do get filed for all the different teams. Okay, so that way, all of the engineering managers will be in the loop in at least a in a clean, concise way. Instead of being added onto every ticket, they get a nice report to see all the issues that did get reported as bugs and requires fixing of it. So that way, let's say for me, for example, Sherman, and I'm from the apps team, I can see like how many runtime bugs did come into play, how many report center issues came into play, and so forth. So it promotes a transparent culture to see like how are we doing as a whole, engineering wide. Yeah. So that's something that's going to be new, is that in lieu of the current model of where Britain's organization, and to be us as well, instead of filing the Maya and the Lucy tickets, we'll be filing to PDI tickets, and we'll be creating a component that will map it to Maya or Lucy or the other engineering development teams. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's an important point to stress, which is that it does require a change for the tech leads on the Amobi TV side, which is you will no longer be getting tickets pushed onto your boards. You will need to watch the PDI board and pull off tickets as they come in.
Yes, I think that's the key new thing. And we'll do the best we can in terms of our partnership. So once Videology Jira instances moves to the Turn Jira instance, I'll send out those specific filters in which TSE and with Bryn would be using to say, okay, this is the filter you use to see the bugs related to your specific component. So we'll continue on making sure you
build that partnership.
Build that, yes. Mm-hmm. Great. What else did I have here? So I just want to show you like an example PDI ticket that's here, so that we would be filing with. Okay. So what we will be doing when TSC needs to file a PDI ticket is we'll choose the component team in which we feel that is the right component to fix this issue. Okay. In certain cases, we might not know which component because of the nature of the bug, but I would say in most cases, we usually do know, and we'll make a best guess on that. Okay. So let's assume that we continue that trend of we're typically know the right one. Mm-hmm. The second thing we do is we have to find the right assignee for the PDI ticket. So this is where I also need the Amobi TV engineering manager's help here. What we usually, and let me show this model here. What is the next steps? Okay. So what we usually do when we get the PDI ticket is, let's say if it is like a console bug, okay, then at least for Amobi Classic, we know like the specific engineering managers that would be the right team to go to. So in console, it usually is Sherman that we will assign the ticket to. And then Sherman, when he gets the alert of it, he will be assigning it to his direct reports based upon the resource availability of his team. So for example, let's say if we got a ticket for like Maya, I'm assuming that it would be Temme, in which we would be the right sort of default assignee in which we will assign the ticket to. And when Temme gets the alert, he will distribute that to his appropriate direct report. So the next steps is sort of needing this filled in terms of who are the right people in which we should be directing as the default assignee for those. Okay. So I would say that's sort of the first step. What we could actually do better, if you want, is more granular sort of logging way. Okay, so what do I mean by that is, let's say runtime, okay, for example, does have like a team of like 12 people in Amobi Classic currently here. And let's say that there is an issue that was related to a specific like contextual servers in the runtime system here. If Yantel were able to give me a matrix of all of his direct reports and what are the key focus areas, and say that person, let's say Alex, was contextual server, we can actually assign it directly to Alex if you guys allow us to. That way, it sort of saves the engineering managers the step of figuring out who to allocate that to. Okay, so we have this model for some of the engineering managers on the Amobi Classic way because they prefer to have it that way, where they give us a matrix and they ask us to assign it directly to them. We're like, okay. At the end of the day, we just want to make sure that we assign it to the right team, and whoever specific individual you would like us to, that's fine. But you would just have to give us like sort of the granular list if you wanted us to go through that approach. Yeah. Yeah. So any questions on this, you guys, on the PDI process and how it works? Everything okay? Okay. Okay, so I'll end this here where we are working on a documentation in terms of what we want the end vision of the global support to be. And we also have a copy of that, which is the current state of that document. And we're going to continue on adapting the current state so that it will eventually become the end vision of what the support workflow is. So I'll send that link out to you guys. As a preview of it, I'll just show what it looks like right here. Okay. So what this document will be is, this is the current state document, but yeah, as I said, it will become the end vision, is the purpose of what this document is, the background of how tech support works at Amobi as the combined company. Okay, so a bit background of all the different tiers and what they will do. The priority level definitions. Okay, this will be actually slightly different, I would say, because in the Amobi TV model, I think you guys use incident and notification and business alerts. Okay, so we had past discussions with the relevant stakeholders, and we came up with this sort of combined new model of saying using the P0, P1, P2, and P3 way. And P0. And we'll put the word critical as well, just so that it makes it more clear what P0 means. But this will kind of replace the incident. And P1, very high, will replace the notification. We're still in the works of figuring out if these names are the best, okay? But so we'll still try to figure out, but we think that it would make sense to still keep the P0, P1, P2, so that numeric way sort of helps with the indicating the severity. Okay. So this document, yeah, as I said, contains the priority level definitions, okay, and certain examples of what those mean. Okay. Specific SLAs on tickets will also be included in this document. Okay. But the key meat of this document is basically based upon each priority. What is the flow chart for each of these? Meaning, who are the teams that are involved? What happens? What decisions are made along each stage of the issue, diagnosis, resolution, and the retrospective status, okay, or at the progress. Okay, so that also is included there. Okay. So that's for P0. I have the steps here of basically what step it is and who's the owner and what happens. Okay. So now I have this, and then just some more details about the PDI ticketing process here. Yeah. So I encourage you guys to have a look at that, and feel free to please let me know if you have any questions on that. I want to make sure that this system that we have in place will be working effectively, and we are here to help, answer any specific questions. Yeah. So any questions that you have? Sorry, I ran like 5 minutes late. No, nothing. All good. Okay. So with that, I guess I'll just stop this meeting here. And again, thank you very much for your time. And let's keep this going because we want to make a technical support workflow system that works well for our expanded company. And especially Harshini and I and our teams very look forward to working with the engineering development teams of Amobi TV. And let's work some great magic together.
Thanks, Kenny.
Cool. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
See you later.
Thank you.